Imagine developing a years-long relationship, platonic or romantic, whatever, it doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is, the human condition requires a collective of interactions with others. We are not loners as nature's, um, we are not loners by nature. You have to decide how important certain relationships are. And even if they're only social and you're not professionally acquainted with someone, you have to decide how important they are to you. And years later, unfortunately, you might find out the hard way that you wish you hadn't said certain things that broke those relationships. You know the term, you have to pick and choose your battles. There are battles that I picked, I chose, and I won. It has caused me lost relationships. Friendships, I'm mainly speaking of. If you want to prove you're right, you can. But one of the things is you're going to do a lot of damage because egos will be bruised. And the other part of that bruising is that insecurities on the other end will show. The friends that you wanted to proverbially or literally hit in the face, the instance I'm thinking of in my past is not a physical altercation, but it's a longer, detailed story. But relationships have been lost because I chose to fight and win battles. Insecurities have come up from the other side, and things have been said to make me look less desirable from a standpoint of me choosing not to hang out among the crowd. So what I essentially did was leave someone that I was offended by hanging, and they were forced to explain why I no longer show up. I think I'm being pretty good at not divulging the details here. I don't necessarily want to name names, but you have to consider how close a friendship is or acquaintanceship. Sometimes acquaintanceships, even if they aren't full-on friendships, are still important. They're part of your connected social circle. And if you end up walking away from that, you're going to realize it's something you wish you hadn't destroyed. Even if you're morally right and you wanted to prove your point, sometimes proving that point isn't worth it. That's why they say pick and choose your battles. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes years to recognize it. Sometimes in the midst of our huffing and puffing, we don't realize the value we've put on it. When we've put on the relationship, I mean. Sometimes we think we don't have to put a timeline on it, but we do. If you are going to apologize, you need to make it happen sooner than later. Or not necessarily apologize, because again, if you were right, if you dragged your feet and took your time and left them hanging, knowing you were leaving them to hang, that's something to apologize for. But unfortunately, if time has passed and you can't fix something because things have been said, unfortunately, the truth on the other end is not going to be told. Insecurities will fester, and the person you offended and hurt will start showing off their own insecurities by trying to put themselves in a better light. You don't want to destroy a relationship that is meaningful. And most relationships that we make are meaningful, even if there's some negativity to them. I suppose there's crankiness among all of us, and we ruffle feathers without realizing it. So think about that the next time you want to make your point. There are a handful of situations where I knew I was right, and I picked and chose the battle I didn't necessarily need to, and all it got me was a lost acquaintanceship, friendship, or whatever, however you want to put it. I'm not sure I want to divulge the details, but you should think I'm actually speaking from a particular example in my past. I'm not just randomly pulling this one out of nowhere. So anyway, consider accepting people for the negative they might be. Their positives might outweigh it. I guess that's all I've got right now.